149 for 3. All 3 wickets for India falling in this particular session. They've also chugged along
71 for 3 in 26 overs, to be precise.
That's exactly how the session has really panned out for the Indian team. Whose session do you think this is?
England's. It's
Clearly.
overwhelmingly and clearly England's, because, see, they got rid of the 2 batters who would expect to score big. After having gotten their eye in KL Rahul, I think the wicket of KL Rahul kind of got caution into the winds for the Indian side. Jaiswal falling to a spinner, left-arm spinner, that too. That was a bolt out of the blue. He looked so good. But then Shubman Gill offering no stroke. Him and offering no stroke, well, it's a very familiar story. I mean, I remember Mumbai, Ajaz Patel getting a ball to drift in, leaves the ball, whack, hits the off stump. Doesn't brush, flush hits the off stump. And here, total misjudgment. If you thought Karun Nair was guilty of it at Lord's, Gill's also guilty here. Outside off stump, slightly wobbly seeming conditions.
Nitish Kumar Reddy as well, horribly judged and left it the first time that he played in England.
Exactly. So that is why 3 wickets could have gotten better for England had Jamie Smith not dropped Sai Sudarshan on 20. Horror drop. And one hopes Sai can capitalize on it. He's looked okay in patches, but I don't know. He seems to be, I can't recollect in any memory an Indian batter being so vulnerable on the leg side. I can't recollect. Normally, we thought Indians are excellent players of their pads. But Sai Sudarshan seems to be the outlier. I don't know what's happened.
No, I think I don't necessarily think he's bad at the leg side, but I think the problem is his instinct of attempting to play a stroke on the delivery like that, which is a very white ball instinct, which you go for it. And usually you get that fine and it's a 4 because nobody really keeps a leg slip there. And it's a shot that you'll attempt. But in test match cricket, you don't even bother going in for those deliveries. You don't even bother. And that's why I say that does Sai have, I mean, he could very well go on to get a big total here. But does he have the required experience of red ball cricket? Has he done the hard yards of red ball cricket at the domestic level for multiple years to be classified as someone who's very comfortable in the format? I think the jury is still out on that. I'm not passing a judgment. As I said, he's a talented young kid who very well can have a very bright future for India in all formats, no doubting that. But I think what he's really shown you is that white ball cricket is really come of age. White ball cricket is really up there amongst the best and could be trusted with an India cap and, you know, playing for India for long. But I don't see him showing enough in red ball cricket for us to say that. And this is exactly that. He'd consider himself very lucky to have been, I think it was probably, I know this series has had many drop catches, but one of the easiest catches that have been dropped in this entire series. Even some of those Yashasvi catches were tough. But this is
my number 1 for the worst dropped catch in the series so far.
In terms of the ease.
Because he's a keeper. He's got gloves. He just had to, he didn't have to dive across the room. He just had to go inches. Horribly botched catch. That's how. It was like how we play.
There are contenders for the worst catch. This may not be
but it's not even a worthy debate.
Yeah, it's not a worthy debate.
But all I'm just trying to say is
of the many things we've got to talk about at the moment.
One of the
Totally
easiest.
agree.
One of the easiest. Okay, Siddharth, I think, made it very clear, and I think that's also something that really is not debatable as to who's won this session. Just as it was clear as daylight, session 1 went to India, probably as clear now session 2 has gone to England because they've picked up 3 wickets. India have got about 70 runs. But I have a tougher question. Who's taken the day so far?
Wouldn't it be the right time to say it at stumps?
100%. So far,
So far, it's very 50-50. Because the run scoring, if you look at it, India have scored over 70 runs in both the sessions. 78 and 71. But they didn't lose any wickets in the first. Here they have lost 3. It's a very tough one. I think it's very 50-50.
I said so. It's a tough question coming your way, my friend.
It's a 15-mark board exam question. I think
you're going 50-50.
50-50. Honestly, this is very 50-50.
I think the right answer is 50-50 to this. And we should be awarded 15 marks for that.
No, but why I'm asking that question, and in my head, I don't know. I have a feeling that I'll tell you why I asked that question is because if you remember, we're sitting at lunchtime, and the one thing that we try and deduce from what we had seen in that first session is that the pitch is really not that tough to bat on, right? There are no demons as such. There is no moisture as such. That's really going to trouble the batter. Yes, there is swing on offer because of the overhead condition, and that is something that's going to continue for the remainder of the test match. But the pitch really doesn't really have any sort of demons as of now. We don't know how the pitch also behaves. With that in mind, you think it's a good pitch to bat on. You're sitting at 149 for 3. Forget what happened session 1, session 2. I'm saying 149 for 3 on a good batting pitch. Would you take that?
No, definitely not. Because see, if you look at all the 3 wickets, the pitch and the overhead conditions had absolutely nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing. KL Rahul, I mean, he poked at a delivery outside also where he was leaving. Gill was total misjudgment. Jaiswal, I mean, falling to a leg spin for off spin, left arm orthodox, while trying to cut. Pitch had nothing to do. There was not.
No, he was trying to defend the ball.
Yeah, he was trying to defend it.
Yeah. But it didn't spin square. It didn't swing square.
It landed perhaps in the right area. Just the minimal hint of movement or the lack of it to deceive the batter.
Like how a Santner got Jaiswal in Pune. Same. He tried to defend. It went off the edge, got the catch at slip. So that is why I think, see, the pitch and the overhead conditions had nothing to do with all the 3 dismissals. Which is why I think, if looking at this filter, I think England's day so far.
And I'll tell you that is why I put a filter. You're right, because if we really break it down into session as we just concluded, session 1 to India, session 2 to England, how do you split it? But why I say that is now we have a rough idea of how the conditions are, how the pitch is, what is it that you expect. And that's why I take you back to the fact that we were sitting at lunchtime, and most of our viewers who are joining us also sitting at lunchtime, probably of the same opinion. Of course, there was opinion split. There was somebody who thought that flat pitch, somebody said no, there's still juice in this pitch, whatever said and done. But remember, our conversation was around from here on, looking at how the pitch is behaving, India should be looking at anywhere between 400, 500. That is a target, or if nothing, at least 350 plus. I said it, that even if you don't have an outstanding batting session, people getting double hundred, none of that, still you're looking at a minimum of 350, 400, 450, that sort of a pitch it was looking like. Now you're in a precarious position. I know you've packed your batting order. It's batting till 8, and you could still very well pile up 400, taking nothing away from the Indian team. But 149 for 3 from the time that you started, almost a 100-run stand to begin with. I think you're feeling. I think England's the slightly happier of the 2 teams right now.
But I don't think India will be too bothered as well. See,
at some point it's a close call.
Yeah, at some point you were going to lose 1 wicket or 2. Maybe you just lost 1 extra wicket, but it's still not.
I'll ask you. When we did our predictions, you had picked 1 wicket. And what is it, the wickets here at the end of the 3?
3, yeah.
So is it 1 extra wicket? Because you are also, just as you are also assessing what is the right thing to go from here.
They go with 1 or 2?
1. I went with 2.
You went with 2.
Wickets wise, he's closer.
And even I'm short on that. It's 3. That's why I'm saying. I know it's not a situation where India is going to be like banging their head. Not at all. Game is open. It's just getting started. One of your batters got a half century. Other one almost a half century.
There'll be a hint of a pressure. We could have done better.
Correct. They would have ideally wanted to be at 154. Worst case in at 2. I think that Gill wicket is kind of.
That was. I think that might say.
The other way of looking at it, they're happy. They could have been very well 4 if that sitter hadn't been dropped by Jamie Smith.
Then it would have been panic stations.
190 for 4.
149 for 4.
149 for 4.
You're in a bad position now. So
with the pitch not having to do much.
All 3 dismissals. I'm saying yet again. The pitch has nothing to do with it. The overhead conditions have had nothing to do with it so far.
Would you say England bowled slightly better? I would think like that. I think England came with slightly better right from the get-go, and that's exactly what we discussed, that probably lunch also a longer break. You try and figure out what is it that you want doing.
Right.
And the ball was continuing to be helpful, still move around. I think they... you're right, like some of those, dismissal, the pitch didn't have anything to do with it, but I'll give credit for the, let's say, the KL Rahul dismissal.
Yes.
You are bang on the perfect length. That's where you get the batter out. Good plans for Sai Sudarshan as well, same place.
Yes.
I mean, credit to England, that's another thing. They dropped a catch, good place, they went there. Even for Yashasvi Jaiswal, corridor of uncertainty, which we were saying they weren't exploring that much in the first half. They did it in the second.
True.
Absolutely.
They
In fact,
tightened
that
the length.
KL Rahul wicket, I completely agree with you, Siddharth, when you say that, it's a delivery that he could have left and he poked at. But I think he was beautifully set up by Chris Stokes. He got rewarded for that one wicket. He was bowling well. He showed good signs even in the first innings, even in the first session, as we talked about as well. So that was a richly deserved wicket, I would say. You get the batter to make a mistake, and to say that the wicket came against the run of play, perhaps not, because they were very relentless. England were trying to get that dismissal just the way that it happened ultimately. So credit to the bowler and credit to the fielding side for that matter for having that plan in place. KL Rahul, we know, is a batter who plays calculated cricket. He is made for these conditions, tailor-made in fact, and that's the signs we picked from him in the first session of play as well. And to get a batter of that mold to make that error, good on part of the bowler and the captain and everyone who probably thought that this is the way to upset a KL Rahul. It wasn't working in the first innings when you were trying to take the ball away. Then Archer, we saw 1 over just trying to bring in the ball, bring the ball into the batter. So I felt that KL Rahul's wicket to Chris Stokes was richly deserved to England in that regard.
Sure.
By that yardstick, I'm guessing Stokes would they say the same thing for Shubman Gill? Yeah.
He was the only guy who was making things happen. Let's be very honest.
But you also know that there is that weakness about ball coming in.
Yeah.
For Gill.
And that'll be the question.
In conditions where it is something's happening for the bowlers, not on flat tracks. He's outstanding there. But again, there was a plan. There was a plan for Sai Sudarshan as well. Dawson would say that I had a plan too. We may think that it was Yashasvi's mistake. I was just seeing
I'm just thinking now.
tweet by Ashwin, who was praising Dawson for...
Dawson made a very good start, I would say.
Yeah.
First
Very,
wicket
very
after 8 years.
Yeah, first wicket after 8 years, but look good.
Look good, yeah.
He says, and I quote him, Ashwin saying, Dawson has deserved every bit of this. Solid game plans and clearly has become a much, much better bowler. Value for overspin on this pitch is a lot.
So, there's a clear indication. Jaddu, start.
Yeah, but Jaddu is not as much of an overspinner as Washi is.
Washi is, yeah. But a left-hander, right-hand...
No, it's not that Jaddu cannot overspin. He does. But
maybe the dynamics of a right-hand overspin is
but
far...
Jadeja is more of the side spin bowler.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's his... And that really works for him. But I'm sure he has that variation to do an overspin. But Washi, I think, is more naturally an overspin bowler.
From Ashwin's school of thought indeed. Overspinner. Tamil Nadu bowler, overspinner. Where have we heard that before? But still, see, England will have to thank certain of their plans. They were much better in this session with the plans. Because even the scoring rate, if you look at 26 overs, it was 3 per over. It's dipped.
Yeah, but
so they kept them on a leash.
Just to circle back on that Gill dismissal, we saw one thing in the first 3 matches, and that was Gill being prepared for the incoming delivery. We saw clearly that was England's plan in Birmingham, then in Leeds as well. Yeah. First 2 matches, and Gill came prepared for that incoming delivery. The fact that he wasn't getting out to that incoming delivery, perhaps was that the display, or was that the application we saw from him today, that he thought, okay, maybe this is something that's not working out, they will not try and do that to me. And there came that error of judgment.
Perhaps he didn't know where his off stump was.
No, I think it was, I'll give credit to the bowler. I think Ben Stokes, and you remember we spoke about this at lunchtime. I said the only bowler who I'm thinking right now is confusing the batter from that same length, whether it's coming in or out, has been Ben Stokes. At least you saw that in that pre-lunch session as well. And I think that's the advantage that he's got. That he, unlike a lot of other bowlers who are getting the ball to move both ways, but are bit more predictable. In Ben Stokes' case, he's mixing it up so well that I don't think he's predictable, and that's what happened. I think Shubman knew where his off stump was, but Shubman was expecting a ball to either hold his line or go out. And this one comes in, and that's why he's found wanting. By the way, just an explainer on that, because there was a bit, for those of you who don't know, because he did not offer any shot, that's why they do not see the impact. Impact was outside the line of off stump, but because he doesn't offer a shot, then they only see if the ball is hitting or not. And in his case, it was, and the on-field umpire had also given it out.
There was very little saving him. Once on-field decision was out, there was very little.
It wasn't even umpire's call on clipping. It was hitting.
That's what I'm saying.
Flush
hitting. The only way he could have been saved is if the ball didn't hit the stumps completely, which seemed unlikely.
But you know, the problem is with Gill, maybe modification of technique or non-modification of his technique. He's gotten much more closer. The bat is now closer to the pad as it was prior to the BGT. Now it's much more closer. But there is enough of a sample size to suggest that whenever he bowls outside off stump, there is that error of judgment in him. Ajaz Patel in Mumbai, he had scored a brilliant 90 in the first innings. But then one delivery straight on, leaves it top, doesn't clip, hits off stump. Here, it came in. Stokes was, like Nikhil said, in, out on the same length. But here, sometimes I think he doesn't know where his off stump is. That's what I get. After having scored runs, maybe there's a judgment, okay, it's my off stump here. Because why? You would remember even a great like Rahul Dravid, in that first tour of Australia in 99, he didn't know where his off stump was. That's why he scored only 93 runs in the whole series. He had that off stump problem, so that's why he would just fiddle or poke at it. But then he rectified that technique, had a far more wider stance, and that's how he overcame that.
Although, while Stokes, we've seen him take a 4 and he's often been the catalyst, as we saw in the previous test match as well. Here as well, I felt with that Gill dismissal, and one thing we sort of miss giving him due credit for is, and that's an ability perhaps just that he has and some of the greats like a Jasprit Bumrah does, which is use the crease very well and change his release point. He uses the angle well. We talk about Jasprit Bumrah, how he uses the angle really well, especially when he's looking for the Yorker. Bumrah with Stokes as well, if you see, again, it's the angle that he got as well to deceive somebody like a Shubman Gill. So credit to Stokes for that.
True. Can we quickly have some questions before we wind up?
Well, Shubman? At least his leave wasn't as embarrassing as the West Indies batter who left stark plum LBW. That was, I think, the most embarrassing review in the decade.
Balls. First over review you're talking about,
First
na?
over review.
Yeah.
I mean, it was carnage. How on earth could you have not? Oh, really?
Okay, don't have too much time, so quickly going to run through some of them. Sarat Chandra saying, Nikhil sir, this series we have struggled and lost wickets because of lack of intent in defensive mindset. Nitish Reddy, Sundar didn't help Jadeja last match. Now Sai blocking and making Gill and Jaiswal's time hard.
I think that's harsh.
Yeah.
I think in these conditions, if they were to play an adventurous stroke,
and you would criticize saying
correct.
that.
Yeah.
That's harsh.
So what's the hurry? What is the hurry?
It's not day 5. I think they're not chasing a target. It's not day 5 second session, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's very, very harsh.
Okay. Akash Bhardwaj wants to know, Bauma, Cummins, Virat, Stokes. Who is the one captain you will pick to lead your team? Quick.
Pat Cummins.
Format?
Test cricket. Since we are in Test cricket mode.
Test cricket, I'm going with Virat Kohli.
Yeah, I'm also going. Virat.
Yeah.
Because Bauma and Cummins are WTC winners.
They're in, but if it's a WTC final, then answer might change.
You says this partnership is key.
Every partnership is key now. But nationally saying 300 would be a very competitive score.
I'm not too sure. What is Pant doing the very first ball?
Vintage
Remember
Pant.
he charged down to Stokes He hit him for a boundary.
Didn't he kind of have that one-handed this thing down the ground of Archer and then got bowled the next ball? Was it in that same over at Lord's?
No.
He hit a boundary down the ground and then I think 2-3 balls later he was cleaned up by
A
Archer.
little later, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but he's doing it off cars. Okay, so I think.
He surprises you. First ball
Is
after.
he still, or is he deliberately doing that one-handed, or is he still
No,
having
when
that?
no,
index
when
finger?
no, when you're just slightly off on your timing, that's where the one hand comes. If it's perfect, then I think the hand will stay.
Hand stays, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that.
He was asked that question, of course,
Was
that
it?
it came in the backdrop of the IPL. But he said, listen, I'm trying to get to the ball and I'll put my body and whatever it takes, I'll try to get. But we know if you've played cricket, you know, you lose the handle only when you're not able to get to the ball, or, you know, the speed of the ball, you've not been able to judge that, right? That's when you lose grip of the handle.
I'm surprised they're starting with cars. I would have gone in with Archer, with Pant there. You have the ability, take me on.
Or maybe he comes on the other end.
Other end, maybe.
Okay, see you guys post-match show.
11 o'clock.
Yeah, long show. That's where all the fun will
You're not finishing at 10:30. This series you will not finish any day at 10:30.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just happy. I shouldn't jinx it. No rain interruption. Touch wood.
Yeah.
See you. Bye.
See you at 11 o'clock. Bye-bye.